Right now, if you get sick from contaminated food or water, doctors can identify exactly what's making you ill within hours. For most of human history, that same illness was a slow, mysterious killer with no clear cause, no reliable treatment, and no way to stop it from spreading. Typhoid fever wiped out armies, crippled cities, and quietly followed one particular woman so persistently that her name became a permanent part of the English language. This is the story of how humans finally traced typhoid back to its source. Typhoid fever has haunted humanity for thousands of years. Historians believe a devastating plague that struck ancient Athens around 430 BCE, killing a significant portion of the city's population during the Peloponnesian War, may have actually been typhoid fever, though the exact cause remains debated among researchers. For centuries afterward, outbreaks appeared with grim regularity in crowded cities, military camps, and anywhere clean water was scarce, and doctors had absolutely no idea why. Symptoms were brutal and consistent: high fever lasting for weeks, severe abdominal pain, exhaustion, and in roughly 10 to 20% of untreated cases, death. Without any understanding of what caused it, doctors relied on theories that sound absurd today. Many blamed miasma, the belief that disease spread through foul-smelling air rising from swamps, sewage, or decaying matter. Cities were often built with open sewage running directly through streets, and drinking water frequently came from sources contaminated by that same waste, all without anyone realizing the connection. The real breakthrough began with a British physician named William Budd, who spent the 1850s carefully studying typhoid outbreaks in England. Budd noticed something crucial that miasma theory couldn't explain. Typhoid cases clustered specifically around contaminated water sources, not simply around bad smells. He proposed that typhoid spread through a specific living agent present in water and sewage, transmitted directly from an infected person's waste into drinking supplies, essentially describing what we now call fecal-oral transmission, decades before anyone could actually see the bacterium responsible under a microscope. In 1880, German pathologist Karl Joseph Eberth finally identified the actual bacterium causing typhoid fever, examining tissue samples from infected patients and isolating a rod-shaped organism now known as Salmonella typhi. This discovery confirmed exactly what Budd had theorized decades earlier. Typhoid wasn't caused by bad air. It was caused by a specific bacterium spreading through contaminated water and food, particularly through infected human waste that hadn't been properly separated from drinking supplies. But identifying the bacterium didn't immediately stop outbreaks, and one case in New York City became infamous for showing exactly why. In 1906, a cook named Mary Mallon was linked to a mysterious outbreak among a wealthy family she worked for. Investigators eventually discovered that Mallon was what's now called an asymptomatic carrier. She carried Salmonella typhi in her body and could infect others through food she handled, despite never showing any symptoms of the disease herself. Mallon was forcibly quarantined by health officials, released years later under the condition that she never work as a cook again, and then discovered years afterward working under a false name in a maternity hospital kitchen, having infected dozens more people in the meantime. She was quarantined again for the remainder of her life, becoming permanently known in the press and in medical history as Typhoid Mary, a name still used today as shorthand for anyone unknowingly spreading disease. Understanding transmission finally allowed real prevention. Cities began separating sewage systems from drinking water supplies. Water filtration and chlorination became standard practice in major cities throughout the early 20th century, dramatically reducing outbreak rates almost immediately wherever it was implemented properly. A vaccine, developed in the late 1890s and refined over subsequent decades, added another crucial layer of protection, particularly for soldiers during wartime when close quarters and contaminated supplies had historically devastated entire military units. So here's the full picture. For thousands of years, typhoid fever spread invisibly, blamed on bad smells and bad luck, until careful observation connected specific water sources to specific outbreaks, and microscopes finally revealed the actual bacterium responsible. What seemed like an unpredictable, unstoppable killer turned out to be something entirely preventable: clean water, properly separated sewage, and understanding that even people who feel perfectly healthy can sometimes carry deadly consequences without ever knowing it themselves.